Welcome back to the desk, everybody. We have returned with two more peeps for us, Bitey and Prince Danny. It's your boy.
It's your boy.
It's his dad.
Good old combo over there. And we have some more buddies with us, too. All nice and fluffy.
We got the Borkers.
Yeah. I love that you added flags as time went on.
Trying to get more energy going.
Okay, go there. But there should be a lot of energy going into this next set between FNATIC and Splyce. Got to see them a few times throughout the weekend. Starting off with you, Bitey, what are your thoughts in general about FNATIC?
FNATIC is a powerhouse of a team. Honestly, at this LAN, though, you've seen them slip up, and I think it's either something with that last patch has really shaken up a lot of these stable drafts that we had leading up through this entire season. But what's coming down is it looks like that VP in particular really showed up with a lot of fresh ideas, and it looks like that's what's perpetuating a lot coming through this LAN, and who's ending up taking control of these kind of fights is that new draft style. And I think what we can see is FNATIC should try to adapt. They're a very capable lineup, and that's what's going to be deciding, you know, do they have the stuff to make these working drafts function?
And Prince Danny, if we're trying to take an attempt to see if they're going to make these drafts function, Thiel in particular, how do you expect him to respond?
Thiel, I'm not very sure. Lately, he's been playing that McCall. They've been solo tanking, which I don't really think it works right now. It's very, very rough.
It's dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. I think they have to get with the drafts. I agree with Bitey. They do have star players in their team. They have Fisheko. They have bugzy. They have insane players. They just need the draft.
The draft is very important, and if you look at the last set with Elvin Pathio saying that Team Envy, they lost out in the draft. Do you think that this Bitey might be something that follows through here where it's going to be determined in that early stage?
It's not so much the early stage. It's just as those drafts go on, FNATIC needs to stay on top of their game, and I think they could find themselves working ahead.
But there is another side to this matchup. We do have Splyce as well, that performing earlier with the young MoonChopperr.
MoonChopperr.
He's 21.
I still consider that young.
He's a
Maybe
young,
not as young
upcoming
as Danny
talent.
over here. But yeah, with that and just the way he's been showing out, if anything, he's a newer addition to the team, so young in that aspect. Prince Danny, what are your thoughts on Splyce?
Splyce, they're an awesome team. Picking up recently MoonChopperr, they've been doing very, very good, way better. I think they actually have a good chance. Not gonna lie, they have a good chance if they don't choke. I've clearly been talking to them as well. They have a great chance. It's gonna be an awesome matchup.
With going into this LAN, Splyce, since they did come last within the region, some were counting them out. Some said, I don't know, they have something to work with. So, Bitey, on which side did you land with Splyce?
I always look at opponents as, you know, potentials to win. Anybody has that chance. Anybody can take games, as you saw in our unhappy set for us. But, I mean, they've showed that anybody has that chance. Anybody has that potential to take those games from those powerhouses. And Splyce is no exception to that. They powered through week 5. You know, we had tough games. And with the addition of MoonChopperr, he's a very experienced player. While his champ pool is currently a little small, just limited because he's so new to the game, as it grows, his power and talent is going to get stronger and stronger. And you're going to see him become such a bigger impact on these games.
And it looks like for this series in particular, Serpent Beach and Bright Marsh are not going to be available. Prince Danny, Bright Marsh has actually been a favorite for a lot of people here. Does it surprise you that it's been banned away?
That's actually very surprising. I thought Bright Marsh was their favorite map. So I'm very surprised here.
Yeah, that's kind of throwing people off a little bit. What about you, Bitey?
Well, Bright Marsh is pretty much like a generic map with a lot of stuff inside of it. So it works for a lot of different compositions. But there's one thing that it doesn't excel at, range. And Shaolin's success there is a little bit limited. Grover's success there, a little bit limited. So maybe that's what we're looking at here by banning out that Bright Marsh.
And we're looking at people like MoonChopperr on one side, and then you got Fisheko on the other. There's a lot of potential just going on through within this. But Prince Danny, if you had to pick one team to take it, who do you think it's going to be?
I'm gonna have to give it to Splyce. I've been in the team with Rovaniik. I've been in the team with ElZulu. I've been in the team with killerumbrellas. And I just have to give it to them. I have to show them my support and my love, and I honestly think they can do it.
Do you think it's going to be a 3-0, or is it going to go the distance?
It's going the distance if they're going to get anywhere. Because the big thing about FNATIC is they adapt. They have a lot of ability to, as long as they remember to adapt. I think that's what you saw happen earlier in these games this week, is that they got stuck in some kind of draft that just wasn't working out against VP. I think they've probably tried to make adjustments and corrections to that. So if Splyce does start taking the lead, I think FNATIC will have to look into their draft pits and see what else they can pull out.
So, Bitey, are you with your boy over there thinking Splyce is going to take it?
I mean, I've always fought against Prince Danny before he joined us. And I mean, I think FNATIC has just that raw talent and history. They've had people who have won lands before, and I think that's going to nudge them over the edge. Now, whether or not Splyce makes these games hot and ready, I think it's time's going to tell.
Yeah.
And you actually mentioned that having people with that LAN experience from winning lands before. Danny, with your experience this weekend, do you think that's played a big role in how things have powered through?
For sure, for sure.
But looking right here, Makoa's not going to be an option. Any surprise there, Bitey?
I honestly think Makoa, super safe ban. You know, he brings so much control. Nobody has a hook. And when you get rid of the hook, there ain't nobody to have a hook. And that means that your DPS are going to be open. They don't need to worry about being in a threat range. Your tanks, you know, they don't have to worry about getting pulled in and shredded. So that opens up a lot of those potentials down the road.
No buck, though.
I'm digging this buck ban. We've clearly been seeing all the EU teams going off on this buck, and that's very smart from Splyce. I want to see how this goes without the buck.
The Bomb King, though, that's been another man that's just talked about a lot. Kind of the B squared there with the Buck and the Bomb King. Shaolin and Terminus actually getting locked in here.
This is an NA setup right here. You know,
Yep.
Shaolin is our bread and butter power pick. He's been hit and miss, but maybe by banning out this Buck, it opens up a little bit more security. There's not this guy who's just going to clap his hands and power heal up any bit of chip. So that's what we're going to be seeing coming out of that. The Bomb King start, though, always super safe. AoE, control, damage. Every category hit, Bomb King is the king of the realm.
Inara, though, she's going to be over here as well. Prince Danny, what do you think of that lock-in?
It's also super safe. You take one of the rocks. Looking at Terminus, you take the other rock.
The rock couple.
Yeah, yeah.
They're married, but they're having a fight right now.
I'm telling you, best couple. Just looking at them. They're adorable together. When they're on the same team, they can work, but you got to get one on each side, it seems
For
like.
sure.
Genos getting locked in as well, just a typical support that you see often here. What do you think, Bitey?
I think you get that Genos because there are a few interactions with Lift that can block out Andy dives and different kind of compositions because he adds that control. Not to mention, he's really good against things that have to stay still when they're ulting, like a Ruckus. You just cast that big light on him and he might just get disintegrated. So it's a really safe way to kind of ensure that you've got control, good healing, and good position. Whoa.
Ooh. Ash and Andraxis. Man, Prince Danny, the red-headed friend, she's making an appearance.
I don't know about this Ash pick. I think the reason they went to Ash is because they banned McCall. And I think that's their next comfort pick. Not just looking at draft. They want their comfort picks. They picked Andraxis. I know Rovaniik was most likely calling for that. But I'm not sure about this Ash pick. You can easily get CC'd by Genos.
I would say the same thing. Like, the big thing is we have Poppy Bombs, too. That's knocked out of ult. She can't be immortal if she's kicked out of it. If she's stunned, she can't get away. So it's going to be a real interesting pick. Oh, my goodness.
What the heck? Cassie. Wow.
Cassie, what makes you go wow with her?
She lately hasn't been as good as she was with the role, but I can see why they're running Cassie. They're looking to bother the Shaolin. They're looking to ult when Shaolin ults. So it's not bad. It's not completely bad.
I think it's also looking for a combination to knock Ash out of her circle too. It's just another way. In big game against those targets, I think it might be pretty safe. Not sure if that's what they're going to run, but I think there's a hint that that's what they're looking for. Big game with a Torvald bubble. I don't know. That's a lot of pain.
Well, big game ahead. Let's go ahead and throw it to the casters to take us into it.
Vox and I, we couldn't decide whether we wanted to go sidearm like this and say, it's your boys coming through, or if we just going to start it normal. I guess we're going to just tell you what we would have done and start it normally. What?
You were in the element of surprise here.
I was almost going to do the jump in to this cast as well.
And you gave it up.
I did. I gave it up, but, you know, Vox and I, we like to get a little silly here. It's towards the end of the day. We're getting into some Hi-Rez hours, maybe some real Bomb King hours. He was the first pick. He's somebody to look at. But these drafts from Splyce, they're both something to look at here.
Yeah, we've got Cassie, we've got Ashe, we've got a bit of a catastrophe on the objective if we see certain legendary combinations come out from everybody. A lot of security of incoming damage, and I'm very excited to see how this does all play out. Getting ready for it then, moving forwards. Jag Falls being the first map. A lot of control for Ashe on this point, but I'm very excited to see specifically the utilization of legendaries
There
here.
it is.
Wow,
There
okay.
it is. They're going to go through ElZulu, running that legendary that is going to give Ashe the stunning power. Rally here. Assert dominance now charges 15% faster. Vox, you're theorizing that this is going to guarantee Envy in the reanimate kill if he's able to time this perfectly.
Potentially, if they're able to get that lockdown, maybe the Dread Servant to secure it as well could be very, very useful, but the capture point is spawning. FNATIC will be looking to engage here as well, and oh my goodness, Fisheko is going off to the left-hand side. This Sunroom area maybe looking to hold priority position here. Grumpy Bomb is ready for them, but Splyce is straight to the objective.
This is a lot of area to seed to FNATIC. bugzy and Fisheko together. The bubble and the damage. That's going to hurt. Killer Umbrellas, one tap. He's going to slither away, and he feels good about this overall. You see him battling against the Terminus. Envy is there, but MoonChopperr finds the first kill against Cybe8, and this is already going Splyce this way. Envy finds a second.
Looking at the draft earlier for this game, and I was thinking, well, what do you do if you want to take down Splyce? Maybe pick or ban the Shaolin because MoonChopperr's looking for more. Gets Void gripped into the air. Gerrah can skate away, though, but maybe straight into danger. No, gets out of dodge there.
And this is full control. This is full point control, Vox, for Splyce right now. The North Americans see that a lot of people miscounted out. The last seed on the NA side of PPL does suddenly start to show a little bit of weakness as Fisheko finds a kill on the MoonChopperr, and now FNATIC are in control.
FNATIC are looking to maybe pressure out a little here. They're looking for some zone potential because Splyce have already captured the majority of the objective, but ElZulu goes down, just buying time. FNATIC can push out this stagger right here. They'll equalize very, very quickly, and Splyce have got to find a quick way to engage. I'm not sure that Shoulder Bash will be the safe opportunity here, as Ashe only has 58% of their ultimate charge. And look at the rising percentages for all of FNATIC.
Oh, the Terminus coming into the room. Rovaniik here following up. Cybe8 takes a couple shots and rolls away, and now he's not as safe as he used to be before, but Rovaniik doesn't see him peeking back out. Objective captured by FNATIC meanwhile, and they just have full control. So FNATIC in many ways showing the strengths of their composition. I think Splyce had some moments there too.
Splyce did have a couple to begin with, but the problem was once MoonChopperr's flank went south and they got taken down, Splyce just didn't have a way back onto the objective. Ashe has got to dive in with his Shoulder Bash, will be focused down. Terminus was caught out very easily there, and now they're being forced back very, very far into their base very quickly. Cybe8 seems very at home on this Cassie as well. Look at the disengage onto ElZulu, just keeping them disrupted here. No stable defense has been formed just yet.
And this is that big game Cassie that we're used to, but look at that. Who needs big game when you've got field study? Cybe8 capitalizing off the support his front line has given him, and now another roll, another shot, another bubble, and another kill. One more will do it, and it actually didn't look like the bonus damage hit there.
No,
Could he be running the Impulse?
Yeah, Impulse was the legendary. It looked like they selected right at the beginning, and you can see Cybe8's just kind of not too bothered about it. Looking at the legendaries here as well.
Yes.
Somersault 4 has been taken, so when you drop below 60% health, you reset the cooldown of dodge roll, giving you a lot more mobility and supplementing your lack of incitement resets, as incitement is only being run at rank 2 so far. Dread 7 to kick things off, though. Payload almost through.
Cassie has to scout 30% movement speed, and she's got vision. Shaolin, you're not hidden in that heat haze, buddy. Cassie's going to spot you out. FNATIC finds the last kill. Impulse blast shot cleans up the day. He's yelling. Cybe8's happy. FNATIC finally back to winning ways.
And this is what FNATIC really did with Cassie early on. You know, a lot of people have said since incitement was nerfed, since Cassie can't reduce and reset her dodge roll cooldown completely with just Chronos 1 and incitement 4 in her loadouts anymore. Cassie, she's not quite as good, but Cybe8 never used to play this sort of up-in-your-face Cassie. They always played more backline because they had the accuracy and the prediction with these projectiles to be able to follow you, track you down, play you from mid to long range here. And so Cybe8's Cassie is honestly just as effective as it always was in this situation. Beautiful cleanup coming through. FNATIC looking to really continue this push as both Cassie and Bomb King right now lead the damage charts. There's barely 51 damage between them right now.
And the problem is this rally here, Ashe, is not helped at all, but they have the ultimates now. Something to pay attention to. Cybe8 on the right side. Fisheko Fisheko, little fish, tries to go to the left. He throws the bomb king, the grumpy bomb, excuse me, from the king onto the point. That impulse does hit that big blast shot, but down comes Envy with the Shatterfall. He's not going to find anything yet. The seismic crashes here. Reanimate as well, but it looks like ElZulu's in trouble. He could fall.
Potentially now, and Cybait's just keeping on looking for more damage here. Nice disengage, bombards Envy away from the objective. Ash tries to engage with Shoulder Bash, but misses, and here comes King Bomb.
Who's dealt with Cybate this entire fight? I don't think there's an answer, and now ElZulu will be the last remnant of a fallen team. It is Splyce who have gone from 0 to 0, and FNATIC, unfortunately, are hitting it into 5th gear.
They're looking to keep on pressuring up here. Now we see the zone coming out once again from FNATIC. Splyce do have the opportunity to come back in. They only have to win one team fight to guarantee the objective capture because of the comeback mechanic allowing them, as they're 2 points down, to capture 4% per in-game take rather than just 3. But Ash has been met with Cassie on the objective. It's 90% already.
And it doesn't look like she's going to even get the chance to ult off. This is a problem. You use them or you lose them, and right now they are being used. That's one good start for bugzy. Cybate and Fisheko find more of the same, and he's on a 14 streak. Envy here on the Terminus. He's trying to shut it down, but he is left without his teammates to support his efforts, and it will be FNATIC with a 3-0 start against Splyce.
And at the end of the day, this just, I know that the buck was banned out by Splyce, but this just seems poor knowledge of your opposition right now. FNATIC changed from the solo frontline strategy that they fell to in the earlier days of the full
PPL
finals.
LAN,
there
yeah.
we go, PPL LAN right there. And as a result, they're running this double frontline, but they allowed Fisheko to get Bomb King. They allowed Cybate to get the Cassie, which I don't think would have been a contested pick. And in this situation, it's very dangerous to give players, especially Fisheko, who's reputed as one of the most incredible blasters in the entirety of the game, to get such a comfort pick.
Well, I'm telling you, this is just a problem with Side 8 right now. 16 streak, this man is on fire. He is playing like a superhero, and yeah, he could be in that new Thor movie. He looks like an action star right now, and this Cassie also seemingly so flexible in where she's rotating her damage to. Rovaniik and oftentimes anyone else like MoonChopperr is just on the back foot, and Fisheko following up on that. This damage pair coming through from FNATIC is looking fanatical and making sure they finish off this game with a huge message sent to Splyce.
How do you even get out of base right now? There's an Inara in your face. Bugzy's there as Torvald. In comes Ash, but disengaged out of the way. And oh my goodness, the impasse lets it slide on through. Clinical perfection from FNATIC there, and that's a 4-0.
There's smiles all the way across FNATIC's faces, except for Gerrah and bugzy. Something to note, those two a little bit more veteran, and I think we are seeing Fisheko and Cybate realizing some of those jitters going away after that first win, knowing that, you know, they didn't perform, they lost to Virtus Pro, coming in as the 1 seed in Europe, and don't want to continue that losing way.
Yeah, this is actually their first victory of the entirety of the LAN, the first seed out of Europe, and now they've got themselves on the board. That's a bit of a comfort pick for you. Look at the top of the damage charts right there, though. Impulse, Cassie, Cybate, only 1 death the entire duration of that game. I don't think that really came down to a lot of legendary utilization for them that really helped them win that.
No.
We didn't see the big game damage. We didn't see Impulse really provide the kill potential against a lot of players. Just excellent positioning for the most part throughout the entire duration of that game. And consistent fire. They never were pressured, so they were always just free-firing towards either the front line or the back line with no real difficulty.
And I think what happened here is we just saw this lineup overwhelm Splyce. FNATIC had everything going for them, but the synergy of their team composition worked so well to where you couldn't find isolated moments for MoonChopperr and Rovaniik to even look at Cybate or Fisheko without a bubble from Torvald going to interrupt that fight and the exchange. I think that what FNATIC have done well is show that they are a veteran team that's working together. Splyce had an idea, but their execution was very poor.
It was, and now speaking of execution, again, we see Cassie with those stats up on the screen. Cybate, known and with a big reputation for this champion. And I also really do like the counter pick for this against the Charlene, because every time MoonChopperr activated Heat Haze or withdrew to maybe they thought safety, hey, here comes Scout. Global reveal, easy chase down kill potential. And Cybate, one of the younger players in the league, they're looking confident right now.
He's so confident. You know, hand over the mic. Again, talking to his teammates, and that's a good sign. When you're talking, you're communicating, at LAN especially. It's when you get quiet, when you clamor up, you shut down. That's when there's trouble. And on the side of Splyce, we hope that doesn't take over. But it does seem like killerumbrellas doesn't look happy after that performance. You've got to get more, not just out of killerumbrellas, the entire roster of Splyce, but really looking at the damage dealers, Vox. MoonChopperr, Rovaniik, they can't finish games with 1 kills. 1 in 5, 1 in 6 is not going to be enough to take down Cybate and Fisheko.
They've got to be the ones pulling in the power picks. The punches coming out from them are very, very important. They just didn't seem to be able to make the impact. And even though, yes, we saw all of FNATIC enabled by their allies, the damage dealers were really set up by the potential for some backup maybe from Torvald there, some backup maybe coming in as well from Inara, the big seismic crash setter, or something like that. There wasn't the same caliber of cohesion coming through from the rest of Splyce, which would have enabled them to maybe pull out ahead. And that's a dangerous situation to be in. Look at Gerrah, 0 deaths that entire time. A big part of this game as well is the fact that Gerrah was able to affect 62,000 healing on the support Genos without being pressured out once.
And I think that's the key, too. You didn't see any opportunities for that pressure to take place on Splyce, and they didn't create it. What I'm looking for here, though, going into Game 2, Vox, is the idea of adaptability coming through in the present moment. Can Splyce realize what was good about that idea and what didn't work about that actual execution and mesh the two? Can they find something that does work against FNATIC, that changes maybe what they're used to seeing and goes against this meta that's so popular in EU, still banning out the buck potentially, yet find a way so that they have more staying power and just, I think, more sustainability than what they had there on Jaguar Falls?
I think better prioritization of frontline needs to come through in the following game, because with the Ashe pick, it just didn't impact the game in enough of a way that we saw. Here's the reanimate from Terminus coming through. Fisheko is able to avoid all of that, though, and comes out of that game with 9, 1, and 6 as their KDA. 2,000 credits stacked up, and this is a very low amount, but the game was over so quickly that it was just still so impactful.
And when you have games like this, they do end quickly. There's no back and forth. And that's not a normal Paladins match at this level, where there's just no back and forth, there's no team fight. This is either the sign of a draft gone wrong or an incredible disparity between the skill levels of these players. And you have to question which one it is right now, because Splyce obviously adding MoonChopperr, he kind of stole the end of today. FNATIC often kind of undiscussed since they lost earlier to Virtus Pro and lost a lot of hype as well, but they are still some of the best that Paladins has ever seen.
Right, and we just need to see them come together and start working as a unit here. Notably, one thing that was lacking from, again, coming back to this frontline element of the draft for Splyce was setup. Looking at Rovaniik here, known for their frag ability, performed very well on Androxus in their earlier set today, but didn't have the opportunity to capitalize on really anything. There was Terminus that would zone people away with their ultimate. You had Ashe who would zone people away from her ultimate because she can't leave the circle or she's going to end up dying. And as a result, when these front lines go ahead and just provide space or make space for the team, how's Rovaniik going to be able to, on Androxus, chase down the backline, look for kill potential when they're being pressured out so heavily from other directions?
Yeah, space was made from the very beginning. We saw that flank with bugzy on the Torvald, and then, of course, Fisheko on the Bomb King. And from then on, it was a bad look for Splyce. Heading into Game 2, can they change things up? But FNATIC, if you're a fan of them, coming from the EU side of the world, you're happy and you're hoping that they keep it rolling, because the #1 seed in Europe is not quite out yet. They're still looking to qualify for Hi-Rez Expo.
Hello, Fish Market. Here we come, back into the old Enchanted Forest theme. Splyce now have first pick, first ban. They took Buck off the table last time, but left Bomb King open, and it's something getting rid of Torvald.
Would you say it's worth it to ban out Fisheko on Fish Market?
I don't think that you can ban out Fisheko as champion pool. You ban out Bomb King, they'll play Drogos, they'll play E,
Will they?
They'll play
That's
Grogu,
the question.
They'll play Willow. Fisheko will play literally whatever you want them to, as long as it is a blaster, and even then they'll play hit scan as well. It just doesn't matter.
We've seen EU, aside from Simsilo and Virtus Pro, maybe FNATIC have really learned from that loss versus VP. I would actually expect that, but earlier on, there was this hesitation to play Drogos instead of the Bomb King. When that was banned, there was no other alternative blaster picked up aside from Eevee. So I wonder if you can call that bluff. Splyce do take the BK, and now the question is, Vox, do they take a blaster? Is it the Eevee, or do they go to the Drogos, which is still on the table?
Well, FNATIC have the opportunity to last pick a Drogos here in this position, because they do have
Certainly.
last pick overall, and the danger of early picking a Drogos on an open map like Fish Market is you're pressured out. Splyce, for example, could grab a front line in this situation. They could also go ahead and grab maybe the Buck as well, and look to really lock down any area where Drogos might be around. But if FNATIC just hold off on the gas here, if they wait to see what the draft and how that is progressing, then they can really tailor their response to what Splyce is pitching towards them. Splyce, the ball's in their court. It's up to them to make the move. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them grab the Buck here, but it's Charlene they still prioritize, going for double damage rather than any kind of flank pressure.
And again, you're right. Tanks kind of being not dealt with early by Splyce. And sitting and talking with ElVnPath, he was saying that tanks are so important, and you can run triple tank. You can run a lot of different compositions if you just get the superior tanks, because usually there are 2 banned out, and there are clear favorites with the ones that are left available. Splyce take the Ashe, which hasn't been played, and now only with the Ruckus are susceptible to FNATIC getting their choice of second best tank also.
They can also look for an Inara here. This would enable Terminus, because they do have Shatterfall, which can climb from the low ground to the high ground on Fish Market to roam as a mobile monster. A bit of a fortress there that players can hide behind with their power siphon.
Fortress Breaker?
Genos is ready. Fortress Breaker could be taken, but Rekka makes short work of that. But it's actually Lian who is prioritized here. And I find this very curious. FNATIC do end up leaving Inara open for Splyce. They end up leaving maybe a Fernando open for Splyce. This could be a reactive play, or maybe FNATIC are looking for a triple DPS composition solo Terminus here.
Or maybe Splyce are happy with this. Maybe they knew it all along. A Leon taken definitely catches me off by surprise, and of course the Inara and another healer coming through would be expected of Splyce. So FNATIC, what do they have up their sleeves? There is no serious flank. Ruckus would be the only one to really get to the back line. Would we see a sniper here? Would we see something a little cheeky coming through?
I'd be expecting the Buck, honestly. I'd be expecting the Buck. I'd maybe be expecting... you could still go for Drogos. Maybe it's Fisheko. Cybate will obviously be playing the Leon there, but there's also Grove on the table, maybe bugzy. So if Fisheko takes the Eevee, we do see FNATIC going for the triple DPS composition, looking to stick Terminus on the objective once they've cleared the area. And I don't actually mind this, because Bomb King, relatively hard to kill. We know they take 1v1s exceptionally well. We've had Bitey discuss them as they bring control and damage and mobility to the table. They're kind of an overall threat right there. So the easiest way to deal with them, well, send more damage after them. The thing that I'm worried about here and concerned with FNATIC's draft is they've tried single frontline before, and when we actually ended up talking to Virtus Pro about this, Elvenpath was saying that it's a risky move to make. You've got no room for error right here. It was on Fish Market that we actually saw Team Envy in the previous set go for a difficult win condition as well, and Splyce might have the easier route this time around. They might just have the control as a result.
I think they do. I think they have a better win condition draft, yet I think FNATIC maybe showing that they are at another level right now with that first game. You mentioned that Drogos was available, but again, we see EU teams shy away from that outside of Virtus Pro and stick with the Eevee. Fisheko, a comfort pick for him, but no Torvald to enable this Winter Witch this time around on Fish Market. Will Lil Fishy on the self-named map be able to dominate and swim through the waters? That is Splyce, or will it be blocked off here and tied up as we begin game number 2 in this set?
So it's a wormhole Eevee that Fisheko is looking for here. Cybate also running Eminence for the legendary, bugzy with Ferocity, no surprises there. MoonChopperr going with the Withdraw legendary there as well. We've got the Desert Shadow, and Envy notably on a map that does have a little bit of verticality, sticking with what seems to be a bit more of a flavor pick as well. The Flux Generator Ruckus has really come out at LAN, and notice the lack of Rekka on FNATIC's itemization lineup right now. Bugzy can't really go into that either. They're just not effective, and there's no real reason to with Inara on the table for Splyce. So this, if you look at Flux Generator right now, that'll pop the effective health of Ruckus up to 7,000 for as long as the meter lasts, making them very, very formidable.
Definitely a big deal, but with working without the aerial control, something that a lot of Ruckus players have to get used to. We're going to assume that they have been. One big action bugzy. We've seen him dominate a game on Grover, but the wall right now from Inara is good, yet one huge 1,040 axe is going to send MoonChopperr onto the backside and give Thiel a clear view of this objective. Splyce working with 2 frontliners, FNATIC working with 1 who's going to find the first blood here.
Fisheko looking for it, is searching for Charlotte in the backline. Nice headshot from Cybate, and first blood actually comes from Thiel there on the objectives. Able to clean up a kill onto ElZulu, so good zoning so far. Splyce have lost objective control to the solo frontline. This is not a good situation for them to be in, as Fisheko is bamboozling their opponents.
The thing is, if he goes down here, and he does, this could open things up back for Splyce, yet FNATIC, they've got to be happy with 78% now on the objective, and as Fisheko rotates out, Cybate rotates in. ElZulu is back, but there hasn't been that much space created so far for the Splyce team. Thiel finally falling low, but he's got his ultimate charge to about 50%, and MoonChopperr is going to fall thanks to Thiel swinging that axe and throwing those Calamity Blasts his way.
Such a massive amount of healing there. Burst from Grover, burst from Genos onto the Terminus for FNATIC, looking for the opportunity to capture, and they do with ease here as Inara is forced away. And notice during that last engagement, there was no focus whatsoever from FNATIC onto Inara. They know that they can just ignore the Stone Warden because they're far enough ahead in capture that they can clear the area first and then focus on the objective.
Cybate continues to spray and play, and spray on the day he shall. And FNATIC continuing to play and, of course, try to stay away this aggressiveness from Splyce, which has continued to fall more and more as the set has gone on. We've seen dominance come through. A Leon enlightenment enlightens too, and Rovaniik in the back line especially getting a little bit of extra knowledge from the Scion of Psycho. Envy going into the Hexafire, but it's not going to kill anyone. In fact, the Hexas, the Pentas, the Quadras, the Triples, they look to be all on the side of Fisheko at this moment.
And it doesn't matter. FNATIC are rolling forwards. There's no sign of this payload slowing down. We've got 1:37 left on the clock, and it's 80% and rising 90% of the way through. bugzy, double kill, looking for a triple just to lock off the angle of entry. Nobody's going to make it to the payload in time. It might be Rovaniik who traps the area, but Void gripped up to the sky too far away, and you know, Gerrah's coming in there with a couple of very instrumental plays for FNATIC towards the end as well.
MoonChopperr, a guy we've talked a lot about, but now you cannot ignore the conversation that has turned the way towards FNATIC. This team we haven't seen since their loss to Virtus Pro, but the way Cybait's playing on this Eminence Leon, my favorite selection of Legendary, giving him that extra scaling on that presence.
Goodness me, is that caster bias I hear coming through?
I don't know. This is just, you know, me liking EU. What can you say?
Wow.
The NA caster, bias over an EU Legendary pick. There's worse things to get upset about.
We'll see where it comes through. If we could take a quick look at Gerrah's loadout right now, the Genos for FNATIC. I'd love to see if there's a specific card in Gerrah's loadout which is allowing them to reveal potentially a member of Splyce. We don't actually, yes we do, there we go.
Side reel.
Side reel 1. Weapon attacks reveal your enemies to you for 1 second. This actually applies through stealth as well, to my knowledge, so FNATIC can really shut down MoonChopperr's Charlene. It's this double threat, and they don't even have Heat Haze available yet.
The Bomb King, again for Rovaniik, has been so unimpressive today, and I think that's an issue going through. This has to be a staple pick for them, and MoonChopperr now falling away. They've already lost 1, look to lose 2, and this could be the third Envy getting caught out. What I'm noticing here, Vox, is this continues to trail the way of FNATIC, is that they have had no ground built. They have played on their side of the objective every single game thus far.
You know, that was something as well during the initial interview in the very first set that FNATIC played in the PPL Full Finals that Gerrah was talking about. It says, we like to be the aggressive team. We like to make other teams dance to our tune rather than actually play their game, and FNATIC have shown no sign of that slowing. Look at the min-maxing with this team as well. You saw before bugzy actually bind onto Fisheko's Eevee mid-air during Soar to be pulled a little bit further forwards to be able to zone more effectively, and that zoning has brought FNATIC their 3rd point of the game out of 4 in 5 minutes.
FNATIC's play has looked legendary, almost comparable to the album. One of my favorite rappers, Nas, on that Illmatic, continuing to impress and continuing to write their books, their names in the annals of Paladins esports history. But will it continue to be this way, or will things change? Enlightenment from Cybae says differently. Hits the top of MoonChopperr's dome and sends him back to base, and a nice Ice Storm by Eevee is going to continue this party rolling for FNATIC.
You really can't underestimate the hitbox of Enlightenment there. It is rather large, and it will hit you effectively around a corner if you end up peeking yourself out a little bit. The Phoenix, the Scion of Psycho, wields within her rifle, holds nobody to his mercy, and they do go back to base. And look at bugzy's 14 streak right now for FNATIC, just pushing further and further forward. Splyce have got to find a way to stabilize, but the payload's about to pass the one bit of natural cover. It's about to get over the hill and into Splyce's base here. There is no way to hold, and now Rocket's been established as well. They've been spotted out. They're trying to use their ultimate here, but all of that is blocked by Power Siphon.
Cybae again goes into the Enlightenment, finds 2, but unfortunately finds it late as he doesn't get the return investment that happens when he hits that ultimate and finds a kill. He will go back to base, starting with 7%, but a through time and space from Gerrah is enough to clean up Envy. Over the hill and through the woods, FNATIC go to Splyce's base to push this in 4-0, but will it happen? Right now, Vox, nobody knows.
So far, MoonChopperr has been able to buy 1 kill onto bugzy to take a little bit of the heat away, but in comes Gerrah. Shuts down MoonChopperr thanks to Cybait's spray potential there coming through. Right on cue as well. Lian drops that down, but Splyce have actually held on top of the hill here. With the kill into bugzy, it's very, very important that we did actually see that coming through. So removing some of the damage potential from FNATIC's lineup, and they're losing a bit of ground now. Thiel does go down. Here comes the reanimate, though, and this could be the beginning of the end.
This is an early reanimate for EU standards, that's for sure. And although Mother's Grace has been activated, the Earthen Guard has been activated, and the Seismic Crash unleashed, bugzy has the healing not only of himself, but Genos possible. Yet MoonChopperr is going to go ahead and chop off the limbs of this tree and hopefully cut out the feet of what FNATIC have done to push this payload so far. This could be the first point in this entire game here, this entire set for Splyce.
I think at this point, look at FNATIC. They don't want to engage. Eevee could try and blink in. Fisheko is going to make the wise decision to stay back away from that now. And FNATIC, they let their opponents get something on the board, but in response, I wonder what was taken away right there from the side of Splyce. You can see that when bugzy went down, it kind of took the momentum away. Splyce were able to start to form a bit more of a defense because bugzy swinging these large axes over range was definitely a very impactful member of the team. And look at that combo as well. Void Grip into Crippling Throw. Here's the vinyl to Fisheko midair as well. And look at that positioning. Look at what FNATIC can do when they're on form.
Beautiful stuff there from bugzy. And again, he's dominated games as Grover. We've seen it again and again. Right now, though, I want to get back to my my kind of old adage here where mental toughness starts to come into play. Splyce, you're down. You're playing against a much more experienced team. You're playing against a much more accolade, trophy-ridden team. And Rovaniik, you're that guy that is really at the head of the charge. You have to come up and have a good round here as Bomb King. That's what your team is looking to play off of. MoonChopperr can take care of himself, but not if you go down early. He gets crippled again, chasing after bugzy. But could this be the start of something new? High School Musical, I feel like that might be sung in the background as the whirlwind comes through. It's a holy praise of music going on, but the song, the tune, it's all going FNATIC's way still.
MoonChopperr has got to go big here. They've got to find the kills as Charlene, and it's just not happening. Another crippling throw through time and space won't get it, but Cybate will. And again, killerumbrellas just looking to suicide here to send themselves back to base as Splyce try and maybe re-establish a grouping to get back to the objective, but nobody can close the gap. And, you know, you put a lot of emphasis on Rovaniik. The problem comes down to the fact they're on Bomb King right now. FNATIC's core here was the team to beat Bomb King at the Masters LAN. The resilience picks have come through once again. They have the strategy. They're not letting Splyce through.
And this isn't on one player, that's for sure, but I think this is the guy who can set things off. He's the catalyst for this team. He's the leader. People look to him. And of course, you're going into the ultimate, the Dread Serpent. You know what I say, Vox. It's a day late. It's $1 short. It's FNATIC 2-0.
FNATIC looking great that game as well. Now, they did end up dropping 1 point, a successful defense towards the team of Splyce, but in the end, that was more about, I think, resource management than anything else. Keeping the ball in FNATIC's court, not giving too much towards their opposition here. And as you can see in the scoreboard, that's exactly what happened. Thiel and bugzy with 1 death to Thiel, 2 only for bugzy. Bugzy doing so much damage throughout the duration of that game, but how can we not talk about Cybate once again on an impact pick? It seems like it doesn't matter what champion they play, it's all about this individual player's performance.
And on maps like, you know, Alacrity Leon, highest damage easy because it just hits so many people. Precision, it could do well. And honestly, Imminence does get good damage, but to beat out a Grover when he's doing just as well as you, he has more space to operate from because he's just operating in the back lines and he's not your priority target to get rid of. At least that's the way Splyce were approaching it. We don't know. It wasn't effective. That's impressive to beat him by 20,000 damage. Heading into this next game, though, Vox, the big conversation piece for me, if I'm looking at Splyce, Rovaniik. Got to have a good game. Got to get your guys going. They're looking to you for that leadership. However, for FNATIC, it's redemption. It's, hey, we have another chance. We could still do this. Our fans, the community, the people who have supported us, and this entire roster change that has gotten us to this #1 seed want to see us prove them right, that we are the best and we deserve to be at HRX.
And they may well end up going through to at least have a chance at qualifying the semifinals of this wildcard bracket potentially if they take one more map victory away from Splyce. Now, Splyce do have the ball in their court here. They have the opportunity to go for a specific map pick of their choosing, and this needs to be somewhere where FNATIC feel uncomfortable. So I'm looking towards them to have done their homework. I'm looking towards maybe Splyce to have studied where they were taken and swept aside by Virtus Pro, what kind of strategies were used against them, and maybe if there's somewhere they feel more uncomfortable, maybe not in the draft, but at least in location.
I mean, I love Cybate's enthusiasm here, but you have to, if you're a competitor, you have to look at this and you have to say, how dejected was he versus that Virtus Pro matchup, and how different is his mentality now? You do not want this guy to keep getting warmer and warmer and more confident and more confident. That's only going to spell more disaster, and if this set lasts any longer, well, it might not, because Frozen Guard is map number 3. Splyce have to make a move now. And FNATIC, they're looking to close it out and send themselves to the semis tomorrow, giving them a chance, of course, to go ahead and maybe make that win a reality and head to HRX in January.
I'm honestly really surprised here, though, that Frozen Guard is the map of choice. We just saw a long-range composition from FNATIC with triple DPS dominate on Fish Market, which is a long line-of-sight map. The Grover really came out swinging, and you're going to give the opportunity for FNATIC to potentially draft that again. This seems potentially unwise from Splyce here. They've got to have a pocket pick in them, but I'm not sure that it does come down to that. They're going for the last pick. They're going for the sniper potential. Expect to maybe see a Strix here, but FNATIC will be expecting that.
And I think the Grover is a big shot caller here in terms of an X factor to look for in the draft. I don't know if Bomb King has been showing up for Splyce in the way they've been drafting. I do like the Androxus for Rovaniik over the Bomb King on the day. And sometimes it's just on the day. Sometimes your BK is not as good as your Andro on the day, and sometimes it's vice versa. If you're a flex player like he's had to become, you know that better than anybody. And it's a difficult task. It's one of the hardest things to do in any esport and anything to flex multiple roles. But it's his task that he's taken on for himself.
And speaking of flexing multiple roles as well, a lot falls onto Rovaniik. bugzy right here has demonstrated a great deal of flexibility now playing a frontline, a support. We've been used to seeing them do that for the duration of the BPL. They were primarily a DPS player through and throughout the majority of their competitive career. FNATIC then had the opportunity to draft in Bomb King here after Mako and Torvald were banned. I just want to go back to the, you can see all these strategies, the players hiding their drafts. I think bugzy's starting to flex towards a musician. It looked like he was playing a harmonica right there.
Harmonica, Stevie Wonder is coming through. Isn't she lovely?
Could potentially be a bit of a
Isn't she wonderful?
funeral march though for Splyce right now, but they do draft Grover. They take that away from FNATIC, which is good enough, and they get some Terminus online for some point control as well. But I'm not too sure how I feel about the Terminus on Frozen Guard, because sure, it can control the objective quite well, but when you get around to push potential or even defense, it struggles because of its lack of range.
These are two big picks that hurt them last map, and I think Splyce are kind of living in the moment here, not looking too forward thinking, whereas where I think FNATIC have spent all day yesterday. I saw bugzy, I saw Thiel, they were in their PJs, their FNATIC gear, lounging front and center of the big 120-inch screen that we've got there in the Horizon Esports room. I don't know why I call it the Horizon room, the Esports arena over there. And they were just thinking of how to counter everything they were looking at. I have a feeling they've got a plan for what Splyce are trying to pull out.
Yeah, so far it seems to be coming in the form of Anara and Genos, just getting some point control online, as well as the Genos, which was comboing very well for Gerrah in the last couple of games. I think it was 0 deaths in game number 1 on Jag Falls, and then only 1 death in game number 2. And it's a great counter to a couple of picks coming out from Splyce as well. The reveal from side rail just works so well against MoonChopperr.
But you just can't fight a Genos if you never get past your own half of the battlefield. That's the problem. No space has been created from these frontliners. Again, they'll go to the Ashe. This time it is paired with the Terminus and the Tyra, which is different. And that is effective against the Anara in its own way, but we haven't seen the Tyra be that great for anyone else. I do have memories flashing back, though, to Rovaniik and that 40 health play, turning this thing around in Envy, maybe even stealing that set, so you never know.
Could be dangerous. It screams point control to me right now. They've got Whirlwind, they've got the damage immunity from Ashe during her Assert Dominance ultimate, they've got a Firebomb to lock off the area, but FNATIC could very easily go into another triple DPS composition here. They could just put too much pressure onto the backline that Splyce can't really respond to. Now, Fisheko will be playing Bomb King. Could be picked up by bugzy as well. Eevee still remains a possibility, but Buck is coming out to play for FNATIC the first time around, and Kinessa as well. Oh dear, because who's going to counterplay them when Splyce need a main support still?
Yeah. That is
the bounty hunter.
All gonna be snipe action, and FNATIC draft, I think, really well here. You don't need Buck. He doesn't need anybody. Bomb King, he really doesn't need anybody a lot of the time. He doesn't have anyone to get him out of jail. That's true. There's no Torvald around. This single tank is gonna have to do work. But I think this Ashe is going to get sent to the back line to deal with her. I honestly think that is going to be who is going to be on Kinessa Patrol.
That's the only champion right now that can really close the gap. The worrying thing is that Splyce were looking to maybe control the objective by having Tyra in backline, having Ashe and Terminus towards the objective, maybe Ashe with a bit more zone, and Grover on the peripheral of this map, where you can swing from one side and you can deal a lot of damage. But if they're not looking off Kinessa's going to take them out quite easily, and Buck and Bomb King can easily rotate over to Grover before Ashe and Terminus can even catch them and take them down, freeing Kinessa up perfectly here.
This is a bugzy Kinessa.
Potentially. We got Fisheko on Bomb King.
It actually could be maybe a Cybait Kinessa.
It could be.
Bugzy on
Buck.
That sounds weird.
Bugzy on... I wonder if Thiel might be coming to play on Buck here. Thiel has been the main tank for FNATIC for a while now. It certainly would be. Thiel did used to play a lot of DPS, build a reputation for themselves on Cassie, but here we go. It is a Bugzy Kinessa, and she's bringing eagle-eyed the round. 2,400 damage potential on a fully charged headshot.
Now, Rovaniik is also bringing Discovery, and these are two good things to look at. Discovery for Rovaniik adds that extra bonus damage, that extra shred to the Inara, which is what they're going to be looking at, but it also works for the Bomb King. It works for the Buck. Those are very tanky champions who have health pools effectively over 2,600 most of the time with how people build them and the legendaries being run. And I think that good utilization of this can be effective. There is a big win condition here. If they deal with the Buck or the Bomb King early, and Ashe and Grover are able to maintain pressure on this Kinessa, I think that Tyra and Inara are going to be able to Terminus are going to be able to pressure out Inara on the point.
That should be the case, but it's talking about the win conditions for both of these teams, and well, honestly, this time around, actually, I've got to give it to Splyce right now.
I do, yeah.
You know, Splyce have the bit of an easier setup. All they have to do is make sure that Kinessa can't snipe out Grover, and as long as Grover stays alive, they can easily hold a line of sight. They can start looking for some pressure here. The danger does come from the wildcard pickup, which is the legendary for me, because if Eagle Eye hits onto Grover, one follow-up shot will be enough to take them down, or a sticky bomb across the map, and as long as bugzy's hitting headshots then, which is a difficult feat in Paladins, they can still easily deal with this comp.
Now, if you're FNATIC, you already think that you've come close to winning this game, because you know once that Grover's locked in, they're probably looking for another healer. You're already expecting that. Once you take the Tyra, you're expecting the Maldamba as that last pick or some secondary healer. And so when you take this Kinessa, you're feeling very confident about being able to protect her. So going into this, I think both teams think that they've got a draft that can win.
I think they do as well. The thing that I'm excited to see specifically is, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about legendaries. It was Hunting Party being run by Rovaniik's Tyra.
That's right,
Hunting
Party.
This increases the damage dealt by just your weapon shots. No abilities, just weapon shots onto enemies hit by the mark. And that duration of bonus damage also can't be extended, even though the reveal portion of, you know, Tyra's mark can be. But what I'm looking forward to seeing is, how does that scale with a Ferocity Grover?
I think it scales off the base.
It scales off the base.
As if it follows the same rules, it's scaling off of the 400, 450, which, I mean, 25% of that.
Still a significant
It's
extra bit of burst.
Yeah, I mean, 500, 550.
Not as much as it would be off a Kinessa shot for 1,200, but I mean, hey, you take what you can get in this situation.
I think you are really also, I mean, with Ashe, that makes a big deal because it's so consistent. You know, Ashe could really be a really broken character if she shot for 550 every round or 600 every round, right? And so when you look at all these champions combining off of that, I think it really is up to coordination. I think the Tyra is kind of like the combustible Drogos for me. If you can make it work, and if you execute well, albeit it has a decently high skill threshold for execution, especially against the #1 team in Europe, if you can do it, it can win you a game single-handedly.
Potentially. There's a lot of hypotheticals here. A lot of, again, we're talking about win conditions. Both teams have a bit of a tricky win condition here. Again, Splyce may be the easier case right here and now as they do get back in the game, and you can see bugzy rocking out the atomic, I think, rifle for Kinessa there. I'd love to see what cosmetics they're running as well, but look at their loadout right here and now as we are going to get into game. It's interesting to see reconfigured one. 4 ammo back from Transporter does actually give bugzy an additional shot from their sniper rifle, which does, of course, consume 4 out of the 20 ammo they're given, I think, on a successful shot. But looking for an initial bit of damage towards ElZulu, who's making the way up. Grover's locking off quite well. bugzy going for the wall jump shots to peek over that wall, but Terminus is forcing out the front line here. Oh no, Rovaniik gets taken out for first blood though.
And Fisheko's the one who gets him low. Fisheko finds 2. Fisheko finds 3. Triple kill. Could it be even more from the Bomb King player on FNATIC? It doesn't look like it needs to be. Cybait and Thiel are going to get on in the action.
Look
they
at
get
an
an invite to the party.
Well. Fisheko's going, that was my kill.
Look at the
Cybait, come on.
The smile from this young man. He is so happy. And I think this is what FNATIC thought all along. Is say, nobody's going to stop Fisheko's Bomb King here. I don't care what you bring. We're better.
You know, it's actually a Fortress Breaker Ashe this time around as well. The size of the Siege Shield was very revealing there, but FNATIC get a free capture. And it feels like we're turning this into a bit more of a Paladins talk show right now because FNATIC are kind of doing all of the speaking in-game, and Splyce yet to really respond. Look at bugzy's angle here as well. This is a rude spot for Kinessa. You fire very precise rounds. You can actually peek through various spots on this map.
Wow.
2,400 damage from the headshot, and Ashe is out of the fight.
And he's just under so much pressure right now. I'm just kidding. He's actually free firing right now.
Pushing down on me.
And that's the problem. That's the problem because when Fisheko's playing this good, who cares? However, when they lose Thiel, when they lose Fisheko, when things like that happen, it does give Splyce a bit of an opportunity to push ahead and create some space, and that's been the problem. Nobody on Splyce, Envy, not ElZulu, have been able to create space for their damage dealers, especially Tyra, who needs it to be able to frag out, and that, if that changes, could open up this set for both teams.
So far then, Payload pushed halfway through. Shadowfall using the confined space gets a double slow off there, but it doesn't matter as Cybate slams home the shot from the shotgun. Picked up by the Unyielding here. bugzy on a 6th Street looking for damage to the high ground. 1200 to Grover sends them back into base for a bit of healing and a bit of repositioning here. And again, Splyce have no way out of base to try and defend right now as the Payload rolls closer.
And this is just, where is ElZulu? Where is Envy? I mean, I get it that you don't want to run to the back line, but I think you need to do it. If you don't, what happens here? Fisheko gets stunned out, and that's good. He's going to go down.
Maybe not Fortress Breaker then if the stun did come through, but as he said, Fisheko does perish. Gerrah the kill into Envy since they were looking the wrong direction. Here comes Headhunter.
Wow, Headhunter and hunting heads is what bugzy's doing. Don't step over there. That's the danger zone. MoonChopperr finds out too late. 2-0, smiles all around.
This seems
from the
like FNATIC are just... This is the exact same response, actually, that we just saw from Na'Vi.
It is.
In the previous set. They're up into their 3rd game here. They're looking for kill potential. They're looking to shut down their opponents. Fisheko has already picked up a triple kill, very nearly like a delayed quadra there right at the start of the game. They're leading the damage charts along with 2 members of FNATIC. This is just this is easy, smooth rolling right now for FNATIC. Splyce have to pull out something different to regain control, but they've only got tier 1 itemization online so far. They got 4 master ridings, and that's not going to turn the tide versus what FNATIC have been able to accumulate in terms of credit economy.
Well, let's think about it, right? Splyce, and they're the interesting POV, I think, here, because they're going to be on those horses trying to get to this backline early. Thiel's got to go to the point because they've got comeback mechanic, and that's exactly where he goes. So they go a 4-man flank. This is the only option they had. They had to do something drastically different through time and space. Kind of gets wasted by Gerrah because it finds no damage, and it doesn't stop this. And now FNATIC are all by themselves. Dread Serpent as well coming through from Killer Umbrellas, but it doesn't stop the King and his Majesty and Thiel combined to find 2 here in the realm. Could it be 3? FNATIC, they are 1 more game away and a couple more kills from securing themselves a spot in tomorrow's semifinals.
And this is just, again, it's a disaster when Splyce group up like that into a King Bomb potential, into it through time and space, because how do you run away as, of course, your Tyra? You got no movement ability. You can boost your movement speed if you got your Hunter's Mark on somebody, but it just doesn't matter here. Trapped inside their base once again. FNATIC capture for a 2nd time in a row, and it's a 3-0 in under 5 minutes.
I mean, this isn't Paladins talk show box. This is Paladins school. And, you know, teacher versus student right now. FNATIC are showing that Splyce have a lot of things to learn. Just admit it. 7 streak, 11 streak.
Ouch.
Coming through, and at this point, reanimate as well. There's been 3 different drafts, 3 different looks. FNATIC have had the better edge easily in all of them.
That was a very greedy headhunter there coming through from bugzy right now. Does get a bit of burst healing thanks to Restore in their loadout. Looks for ElZulu here. Void gripped into the skies. Look at the precision from these headshots as well. Eagle Eye, even at non-full charge, is really swinging here. And despite falling, the payload is rolling. Nobody seems to be stopping it. Bucks jumping in. The recovery back to full health. I mean, this, again, this is a clinic right now.
And this just shows you how damn good Virtus Pro were. To take these guys down 3-0. 3-0. They took these guys down. They are making Splyce look like not even a PGS team at this point, and that's unfortunate to say because they had such a good performance against Envy. MoonChopperr's the talk of the town. Rovaniik is looking good on Androxus, and we see no flavor, no character whatsoever. It is all about FNATIC bringing the heat in this last set.
FNATIC are demonstrating that they have the power, they have the potential. They are superstars here with it in their region and the international scene combined. Thiel with a beautiful impasse there, locks into place. Of course, our Terminus, the power siphon will only last so long, but surely to fall here. Maybe if somebody can save them with Whirlwind, they might be able to survive. A bit of a turning point here, but that was a big ultimate. 2 big ultimates from Splyce burn just to save 1.
This draft is so difficult to get to the Kinessa. They had options, but it just failed. The 4-man flank on the Master Riding was a last-ditch effort, but this is what happened. The King Bomb. Fisheko, all day long, he's been getting these stuns and the outplays. Double kill, rolls through the fire and the flames, and he is okay. He's faring still just as good as he shakes his camera, and FNATIC look like they may just be shaking a semi-final selection here as they get the win.
The trap to end it there as well. You could see the Dread Serpent being thrown out, but doesn't even get the chance to actually be sent into the crowd. My goodness, this has been a remarkable performance from FNATIC. And this, again, it's a reinforcement, a demonstration of why they came out of online play as the first seed, and just a real testament to how between the PPL, between the online phase and the offline phase here at the esports studios at Hi-Rez Studios in Alpharetta, how much effort was put in by teams like Virtus Pro to really come on and perform and really improve as well. And good grief, that just looked devastating to watch.
All business. That's the thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just been all business for these guys. And you can see smiles here for Splyce. They did a great job. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. FNATIC, I think that's the story here. They look so damn good. Let's send it to the desk and see what they have to say about the win.
Welcome back to the desk, everybody. Another 3-0 in the books, this time for FNATIC against Splyce. Before we get into some specifics, starting off with Bitey, what are your general thoughts?
Well, I don't like the Ashe that was picked. I used to be an Average guy who just wanted to run Ashe all over the place. But with those nerfs that came through to her, she has a lot of open spots. And what you saw FNATIC do to deal with this is we always had Genos, we had Bomb King, we had CC, we had Silence. And it just loses that value. You know, he ran the ult legendary for Ashe, Rally here, trying to get stuns, trying to get more ults, but because you can get silenced, knocked away, kicked away, pushed away, fragged out, like she's just not bringing much to the table in those fights.
So, Prince Danny, would you agree that when you're going against things like Torvald and Genos to bring you up and all that, that it was difficult for Ashe?
It's very, very difficult. There's no way to make it work. There's just no way. She's gone. There's too much CC. Way too much CC. I'm not sure if that was just a comfort pick for my boy Zulito. I call him that, by the way. That had to be a comfort pick. She's just bad right now. She's bad.
Yeah.
What about that bugzy Knessa, though, Bitey?
I mean, I liked a little bit of what Splyce tried to do with the Grover. They're like, okay, we'll get some range game going. Yeah, what are they going to do against this? I'm MoonChopperr. I'm going to chop them down with my axes. And then you see bugzy on Knessa, Headhunter, and you just look at that lineup that they've got, and you're like, so these are all going to get shot in the head. Grover's got a big dome. Big domes get shot. Ash has got a pretty big dome. Tyra's pretty slow. We're just going to see bugzy just open up cans on these guys because, you know, the only way that they could get to him is by just full committing. And you saw what happened. Bomb King's there. They got his back. Got Grumpies. You got Poppies. You got ults. He got the tools to save the man who's just going to slay everybody.
And even though in that game, Knessa, with a lot of range available, but looking at game number 2, that seemed to be an issue as well when you have the Shaolin going against Leon plus Grover plus Eevee, Prince Danny. Was it really difficult for MoonChopperr to work around all that?
It was. I thought they were going to maybe have a chance because FNATIC did run a solo tank, but they just always had the Eevee to clean it up. They had the awesome poke from the Grover. It was just insanely hard.
And with that, too, both of you were kind of mentioning the champion pool that's available to ElZulu, and maybe that's why he went onto the Ashe a bit, not feeling as comfortable on ones like Fernando and stuff.
Has to be. Because you usually, throughout the PPL, throughout these games that he played, he's been playing Mako a lot. That's what we usually been seeing him on. And now that Mako's taken away, you see him on that Ashe pick. It has to be the comfort pick.
And I think a big thing in that game, too, that I wanted to just point out is Leon Grover have so much range on that map that they just didn't have a way to respond. Other than Shaw's trying to fight out Leon Grover. I even put a little sad face there because it's that hard. All they had is a rocket, and he's like, he can't get close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if we can see the sad face on there. You might have to try and do a magnified version for everybody. Hello, little buddy. There we go.
Oh.
So sad.
The dog was really disappointed.
Gotta put a poor dog on.
Oh man, the dog.
Yeah, that's not the kind of thing to get its tail to wag. But I'm sure that FNATIC's feeling pretty jolly about how they did within this set because it does secure them a position within the semifinals. Splyce, though, not going to be moving on. Probably a little down in the dumps with some frowny faces of their own.
They can come join with us. We'll have a great time tonight.
Little Powell get some comfort food going and everything.
Sure. But that's LAN experience. I've learned it before. We've learned it on AGG. You win, you lose. That's just how it is.
And lots of emotions come out here at the LAN, whether happy or sad. But let's go ahead and hear from one of the excited individuals after that victory. Vox, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm here joined by Cybate from FNATIC after that incredibly dominant performance, a 3-0 sweep for the team with the orange logo coming out here in the quarterfinals of this wildcard bracket. And my goodness, you guys put on an absolute clinic. That looked unbelievable. You must be thrilled to actually be, back on the board, back engaged after maybe a bit more of a disappointing performance earlier in the week.
Yeah, we did. We're better than versus VP. I think that's how we should play every time.
Oh yeah, no, you sort of drafted a little bit differently this time around. We still saw solo frontline come out, but definitely a few more tricks up your sleeve. Now, you actually ended up playing Buck in the last game, if I'm not mistaken, with bugzy on Canessa, Fisheko still playing the Bomb King. Was that something which, after seeing how dominant that was for Virtus Pro, you decided to adopt mid-tournament?
Yeah, I think so.
It was just
the Q Legendary is really good, so we just tried it. It's the first time I play Buck in a tournament, actually.
Really? So
yeah.
No tournament play beforehand?
No, maybe I played it like 1 or 2 times, but with this Legendary, it's the first time.
Goodness me, that's a really, really impressive thing to be able to pull out. Mid-tournament has some really good adaptation, but it's exciting to see that come to the forefront. Now, moving forwards, you're going to be facing up against particularly maybe the Renegades here, or maybe their opposition right now as we do get ready as mousesports are about to take them on. Is there any particular team out of those two that you're worried about, or do you think that right now, coming back on a victory, FNATIC have got it in the bag?
I think we can win tomorrow, so I'm just looking at the final versus Navi.
Really?
Will be a really nice game, I think.
Okay, well then heading back to maybe what they're used to, FNATIC looking to face up against their European counterparts in the finals. We'll have to see if they make it there. But coming up next, it will be Renegades versus mousesports. Don't go anywhere.